I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
Today's
More.
You
No.
podcast.
Today I want to discuss how to handle personal crises in your life, and this is discussed in Super Brain by Deepak Chopra and Rudolph Tanzi. So instinctually, most people handle personal crises with fear, but by going through this process of asking yourself 3 questions, you won't be facing crisis in your life with fear anymore. And what these 3 questions do is it helps taking your mind from a state of disarray to being more organized and seeing things more clearly. So I now want to go through these 3 questions. First is this a problem I should fix, put up with, or walk away from? This is the first step towards organizing your thoughts surrounding the crisis. Then from there, question 2 to ask yourself is, whom can I consult with who has solved the problem successfully? And this is something that I've touched on in the past on the podcast, but it's crucial to be able to ask others for help, as well as listen to others so you can gain perspective. There's no reason to spin your wheels and struggle with a crisis in your life when you can ask somebody for help and gain perspective from them. Then from there, we reach the third question to ask yourself, which is how can I reach deeper inside myself for solutions? And this will not only help you with organizing a step-by-step process to get through the problem, but also find motivation to overcome it as well. And at this point, I want to warn you of 3 common questions that people ask themselves that are driven by fear, and you need to avoid asking yourself these 3 questions, because if you do, they're going to hinder the whole process from the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. And the first is, what's wrong with me? Putting yourself at fault and looking at the past in this way where you're looking down upon yourself is something that's toxic and will hinder progress. Second is, who can I blame? And by blaming others and thinking about what others did, it not only doesn't help with getting through the crisis and solving the problem, but also steers you away from thinking about what's important. And the third thing to never ask yourself is, what's the worst case scenario? You need to focus on the positive and improving the crisis rather than just dwelling on it. By going through this process of asking yourself the 3 right questions and avoiding the 3 wrong questions, you'll go through 3 stages that will help you transcend the crisis that you're going through. The first stage is that the fear subsides, and you're going to feel strong enough to meet the crisis head on. The second stage is that you then see what you do, and at this point you see all of the progress you've made surrounding overcoming your crisis. And then finally, the third stage is you see the whole meaning behind the experience. Here you gain perspective, and this perspective surrounds the bigger picture and why everything happened for a reason. And as I've discussed multiple times on the podcast, that life's happening for you, not to you. And the whole concept of life happening for you, not to you, is really the basis of the 3 important questions to ask, as well as making sure you avoid the 3 questions you shouldn't be asking yourself. No matter what problems you're facing in life, no matter how big or small the crisis is, by asking yourself these 3 important questions and avoiding the 3 harmful questions, you're going to go through this 3-stage process where you overcome your crisis. And if you can overcome fears and crisis in your life, you'll no doubt be able to craft a life of significance.
I'm just trying to make it all make sense.
Today's
More.
You
No.
podcast.